So welcome back to DC Silver Age Storytime, and today's story comes from Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, number 54, published in July 1961, with story by Robert Bernstein and art by Kurt Swan. Move closer to Superman with that kryptonite. Lanix, he is our enemy. I obey, Master Olsen. We must destroy Superman if we are to rule the world. Featuring King Olsen, or Jimmy Olsen as king of the giant ants. If you're an admirer of Jimmy Olsen, this story is not for you, for this is the amazing tale of a young man who betrays the human race and joins evil forces that wish to enslave the world. Yes, incredible as it may seem, Superman's young pal becomes a villain as ruthless as any in history when he turns his back on mankind in order to become king of the giant ants. That's it, friend. Knock the tank over. These puny soldiers are no match for our huge ant army. Look! Jimmy Olsen is leading the giant ants against us. Is it possible that he's become our enemy? One day in Cub reporter Jimmy Olsen's apartment in Metropolis, I'm glad I'm taking inventory of my costumes. I could use some new hats for future disguises. I'll make a list of what I need and shop for them today. So he goes out to get some new hats, and the store clerk takes the box and loads it up into his back seat. Meanwhile, Mr. Mxyzptlk is flying around Metropolis. I must find my ever-loving chum, Superman. This time I've got an idea under my hat that'll really knock him for a loop. Yes, sir. From derby to socks, I'm just loaded with magic tricks, and nothing gives me more pleasure than to plague old Super Sap with my super magic. Let's see now. My super victim to be should be on patrol somewhere in the vicinity. However, little does the tiny, smirking figure realize that a sudden gust of wind has knocked off his derby, and that magical hat is floating down toward the streets of Metropolis. And it lands in the box in Jimmy Olsen's back seat. The manager of the costume shop sure sold some interesting stuff. This gaucho sombrero makes me feel like dancing the tango. Ta-tum, ta-tum-tum. And then he does a Russian dance with his Russian hat, and then he comes across Mr. Mxyzptlk's little derby, but doesn't recognize it. I could wear this party hat to Lucy Lane's birthday tonight. And speaking of her birthday, I wish I had enough money to buy Lucy a terrific birthday gift, when all of a sudden piles of cash appear. Pow! I wished for money, and the wish was granted, as if in a fairy tale. How? Why? What's causing this magic? Well, I'll soon find out. I wish to know what made my wish come true. And the hat pops off his head and flips over, and he reads inside that it's from Mr. Mxyzptlk. It must be a magic hat that possesses the magical powers of its mischief-making owner. I don't know how Mxyzptlk's derby got here, but as long as his hat grants wishes, who cares? I'm going to wish for something really stupendous, like having Superman's superpowers for a few hours, so that I can surprise everybody at Lucy's party. So he does get superpowers, and then wishes to not be affected by green kryptonite. We interrupt this program for a flash. For the 6th day, Professor Lang, the noted explorer who is on an expedition in the Brazilian jungle, still doesn't answer any radio signal. Uh-oh. So he flies out to see if he can find Professor Lang. The world doesn't have to rely on Superman. They've got me now. I'll check up on Professor Lang. First, I'll wish that my clothing be immune to speed friction. And it is, but he forgets to wish the hat, and the hat just disintegrates. And he finally, very quickly manages to find the professor. I spotted Professor Lang's camp with my supervision, but what on earth are those giant ants? Why are they surrounding Lang's shack? Are they responsible for his silence? Jimmy Olsen, you've got superpowers. Yes, Professor Lang, but never mind that now. Tell me about those giant ants outside. They'll be here in a minute. Then you've seen them. Well, how could he not? Well, I discovered the huge ants a week ago. My last radio message alerted Superman about them, but he never showed up. Then my radio broke down. I've been trying to repair it since unsuccessfully. You see, I came here to collect data on a race of giants who once inhabited this valley for months. For months I poked around colossal ruins. What gigantic footprints. These monster-sized men must have eaten something which stimulated their growth glands. When last week I made the horrifying discovery that although the huge men were extinct, giant ants were not. They must be feeding on the same unknown vegetation the humans ate centuries ago. I must contact Superman. If these creatures multiply, they could conquer the world. Look at this ant colony I've preserved under glass. Jimmy, one tiny ant can move a matchstick. That's like a human being pushing a ton. Ants are the strongest creatures in the world for their size. I don't know if that's true. Normally, ants are ruthless killers who colonize by instinct and communicate with each other by telepathy. If their vicious little brain centers were enlarged, they'd become evil geniuses who'd menace all mankind. All right, men, destroy the shack. Jimmy, they're here. They've come to kill us. Crash. They haven't got a chance, Professor. The creatures don't know I have superpowers. Watch. So he just kind of blows them away. This human has superpowers. Quick, men, burrow under the ground and bring up some of the kryptonite meteors that fell here years ago. They do, but it has no effect. Kryptonite. I laugh at kryptonite. I'm immune to it, Magoro. But how do you know about kryptonite's deadly effects? So he did introduce himself as Magoro. I learned about kryptonite from Superman. If you don't believe me, focus your X-ray vision on yonder mountain side. Tell me what you see. Oh my gosh, it's Superman lying inside a cave, almost dying, with an ant jailer holding a kryptonite meteor close to him. And Superman did get Professor Lang's radio message. He flew here only to fly into a death trap. You fiend. How did you find out Superman can be destroyed by kryptonite? That's our secret. Now will you do as I say, or must I give the ant guarding Superman a telepathic signal to move in with that kryptonite and finish him off? I have no choice. I can't let Superman die. What do you want me to do? Lead us. We have fantastic intelligence. As you can see, just by instinct, we can speak your language, but we don't know the world outside the jungle. However, with your superpower and super knowledge to guide us, we could easily rule the world. Therefore, be our king. Lanix here will be your personal charger. Aye, mount me, Master Olsen. No, Jimmy, don't help those monsters. With Superman at their mercy, I have no choice, Professor Lang. Wise decision. Now lead us against that nearby military outpost. It will give us valuable training in battle to come. Presently at a UN military outpost. I'm seeing things, Captain. Giant ants, with a young man commanding them, attacking our base. That's it, men. First, knock out their communications. Destroy their transmitters. Minutes after, wreck that helicopter and every vehicle so they can't escape. Yes, Master Olsen. Now cut off the base from help by getting rid of this bridge. Then, as the desperate garrison fights back, knock the tank over. These puny soldiers are no match for our ant army. Wait, I recognize that guy. He comes from my hometown metropolis. He's our planet reporter, Jimmy Olsen. The skunk has turned against the human race. But suddenly, in a surprise about face, Master Olsen, what are you doing? Why are you digging that chasm? I've tricked the ants. Their gorge completes their isolation from the jungle. Now they can't stop me from freeing Superman, or this gorge. An instant later, one side insect, I'm here to rescue Superman. Then, after I fly him and Professor Lang to safety, I'll come back to save those UN soldiers from your ant pals. However, Jimmy rescues his feeble super friend. Jimmy, you said you isolated the ants, but they're forming a bridge to reach this side. We're in deeper trouble than that, Superman. I wished for only a few hours of superpowers. Now my powers are wearing off. I can't fly. I must glide back to Earth. Shortly on the ground as the ants close in. You once asked how we knew Superman was vulnerable to kryptonite. Well, we caught him off guard and used our fantastic powers to hypnotize him into revealing the information. Now, you traitor, will hypnotize you into killing him. No, Magoro, no, please. Then, as Jimmy helplessly hypnotized obeys Magoro's commands. Move closer to Superman with that kryptonite, Lanix. He's our enemy. I obey, Master Olsen. We must destroy Superman if we're to rule the world. Jimmy no longer has a will of his own. I'm doomed. Suddenly, as Jimmy hears a faraway voice that becomes increasingly louder. Wake up, Jimmy. You're screaming in your dream. I'm a robot sent by Superman to arouse you from your strange slumber. Robot, dream, what are you talking about? I'm king of the giant ants. Listen, Jimmy. A few hours ago, while on patrol, Superman spotted Mr. Mxyzptlk, the fifth-dimensional imp flying over Metropolis. A sudden breeze blew off his magical hat, but with my X-ray vision, I can see that Mxyzptlk has concealed red kryptonite powder under his hat band. Mxyzptlk obviously intended to sneak close enough to Superman to affect him with the red kryptonite. Instead, you got the hat accidentally. You wore it and wished for superpowers. Well, the unpredictable red stuff then affected you, as it would have Superman, by giving you terrible hallucinations and taking away your superpowers, although you didn't realize you had returned to normal in your dream. Superman saw you get the hat, but couldn't stop you from making your wishes because of other emergencies. Now he sent me to destroy the hat because red kryptonite doesn't affect me since I'm a robot. I better get rid of my hair too. As I shake my head, red kryptonite dust flies out. Shortly after, the robot wields the scissors. So right after I got superpowers, I was affected by red kryptonite, and I fell into a dream trance. The radio flash, those giant ants were just hallucinations. Yes, Jimmy, you may look funny without your hair. He's still got hair. But think of how poor Mr. Mixier's Piddlix looks without his hat.